My dad always was one to just kind of old school, was like, make your money and save your money. Don't waste your money ever. I remember standing in Home Depot looking at like toilets and fixtures and faucets. And I'm like, I'm literally spending money and I know I'm not going to get it back. Like
Oh, wow.
I have to lose money just to not lose more money.
Right.
You
I'm
know?
putting money in to lose it.
Yeah. This
Yeah.
is like, I'm guarantee I'm going to buy this thing. I already lost money on this. People feeling like, oh, I'm better than you. And it's like, I mean, all this stuff could shift.
Yeah.
Like we have no control of like how much income we're making. It's just, we're lucky to be in it. So I think the part that was harder is when you realize like not everybody's rooting for each other, even though like we all need each other to cooperate with.
Brace yourself for a wild ride into the unexpected. This ain't your typical success show. I'm here talking to real folks who've been through it all, skipping the fancy business talk for authentic stories. We're diving into childhood dreams, teenage escapades, and everything in between. No scripts, just the stories that truly mold success. Each episode takes you on a journey through those breakthrough moments that paved their way. No fluff, just genuine stories. So whether you're chasing dreams or just love a good story, buckle up for wisdom, laughs, and the unexpected. This is the Breakthrough Podcast, where success is a journey, not just some fancy destination. Don't miss out. Hit the subscribe button now and join our Breakthrough crew. I got some incredible stories to share, and you won't want to miss a single one. Today, I have an incredible guest for you. I'm sitting down with Joey Portale, a realtor, investor, and all-around passionate real estate entrepreneur with deep roots in the Willow Glen community. Joey has an amazing story. He started out investing in real estate as a teenager, navigating deals alongside his family and learning hands-on lessons that have shaped his career over the years. He's become a trusted name in his community, combining his love for problem-solving, people, and finding great deals. In this episode, we dive into Joey's journey from high school investments to run his own successful real estate business. He shares some unforgettable lessons learned from his family and mentors, what it's like balancing big projects like a 22-property portfolio, and his vision for creating healthy, sustainable growth in his career. This conversation is full of wisdom, relatable experiences, actionable insights for anyone passionate about real estate or building a career with purpose. You don't want to miss it. Let's dive in. Joey.
How's it going?
So I'm glad you can jump on today. I think the last time we met, we had our own little mini podcast out in front of Glen Una for like 30 minutes. We should have recorded that part.
Yeah.
That's always how it goes. I've had, in the past, we either will talk in the very beginning of the podcast with my guest, a little bit, and we'll start having this conversation. I'm like, oh, hold on, let's jump in. Let's start recording.
Yeah.
But it seems like the minute you start recording, the conversation, can go completely different. It's like a freeze up. You're like, oh gosh, here we go. So yeah. Well, hopefully we can get down into some of the things we talked about that day. What do you remember we did talk about? I know we talked about some of your first investment properties, right? You have with your family, and that was a big part of it, right?
Yeah. We started talking about it first time getting into real estate, or getting like, how did I get my license, and you know, how my dad and his two other buddies were an influence, and actually how I teamed up with my brother buying our first investment property together. So
yeah, let's start there.
Yeah.
So give us a little background on your first little investment journey and where that started.
I mean, it kind of goes like pretty far back. I got blessed to have good parents and even good grandparents, but my dad always was one to just kind of old school, was like, make your money and save your money. Don't waste your money ever. And so
some good advice.
It was good advice. And it was hard at the time because you're in high school, and I was working at a grocery store at Nob Hill in Los Gatos as a first job bagging. And you're making $6.83, some weird number, and working long hours right after school. But also I'd work with my dad during summer as a contractor, and that was like the family business. My brother and him are still currently doing it, but kind of starts way back then because my dad would just say, save your money. So it was hard in high school because you're saving your money. I was driving the family van, and luckily I only had a cassette player in that van, so I never bought any CDs.
Yeah. If you
Started
spent your
with
money
that.
there.
Yeah, saving my money. But what it did allow me to do is by the time I was a senior, I had saved up roughly around like $15,000. And as a high school kid, that felt pretty good to have some money saved. And
Yeah. What
a
year was
long,
that?
long time ago, 2000. So,
2000. Okay.
yeah. And so it actually took us, we went on our little family trip every year. We'd go to Bass Lake and we'd get these little real estate magazines that are in like the little newspaper stand. And I saw a house in Fresno for $30,000. I'm like, how's it only $30,000 for a house, Dad? And I was like, we need to get out here and take a look at this. And I think my dad still has that little pamphlet that we grabbed. So it kind of got us driving out there for the first time to start looking at property in Fresno because at the time we couldn't buy anything in San Jose. Um, that led us to connecting with my dad's good friend, Joe Wickersham, and then another one of his good friends, Don Hogue, which has also played, both of those men have played a huge influence on my life too. But yeah, we did a little trip out to Fresno, drove around, took a look at these different homes, and that kind of got me excited to like feel like hopeful that I could actually buy something.
Yeah, especially if you had the money saved,
Yeah,
right? You probably had that light bulb moment like, "Oh, I can afford this. Like we
yeah.
can make this happen." So what did you do? You saw that house. Did you go look at it? And like what happened after that?
It was kind of like a neat day just exploring around, just kind of finding out. We never, wasn't something we knew about. We just kind of like drove around and took a look at different things, different neighborhoods. But my dad's friend, Joe Wickersham, was connected to another real estate agent, Bob Wigington, which is also connected to Sidney Reno here in San Jose. It's just a lot of long, good stories, a lot of like
Wow.
family
There's a lot of
connections.
different people in there. I thought that's cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of different people that play in it. But we went and looked at a 26 unit apartment complex, like on the border of Clovis and Fresno. And that was our first, my dad and his friend teamed up buying it. And then my dad allowed me to, buy in at basically like a 5% of the whole deal. So,
That's
which
what. So what was the purchase price on that? Do you remember?
I don't remember like clearly, but I think it was like somewhere around like 585,000.
For how many units?
26 unit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then his friend, we pull up and it was like it stretched from corner to corner. And his friend Joe Wickersham was a super funny guy. He was like, can you believe you just bought a whole city block? Like when we first showed up. And at the time, you're like, it's just unbelievable how much property you got for the price point.
Wow, I wonder how, and you guys don't own that property anymore. You
No,
sold it.
we sold it. It kind of got things started. My dad, he's a contractor, and he was like, "You can't even build this building for this price." So that was like kind of a factor that he always played into is like, you can't build it, and you can't insure it for that, like the rebuild cost. So it must be a good deal. Yeah.
So walk me through. Do you remember when you guys purchased it and then what you had to do to it? And then did you hire property management? Did you guys self-manage? Like, there's a lot to this, I bet.
Yeah. No, it is. It was cool. It was really nice because like my dad, it was probably like I would say one of my best, educations of my life. Just, it's a long drive. It's like 2.5, 3 hours to drive down there. But it was fun. It was like fun watching my dad and his friends, be a part of it. It was a lot of like stumbling through it. Like my dad would made it hands-on. So we'd go down there, somebody moves out, we went down there, worked on it, or I was cleaning like old refrigerators. And,
Yeah.
man, this stinks, but I'll do it. Or there was a lot of pine trees. So you're on the roof, blowing off the roof or sweeping off all the pine needles to make sure you can maintain the roof. So management, because it was larger, you had over 16 units, you had an on-site manager, Ron and Sue, which is another fun story. Yeah. And then we self-managed it too. Joe Wickersham was more on the hands-on with the tenants. And then my dad's role was kind of more on the construction side, and the maintenance of it.
That's a good combo.
It was a great combo and it was good. Joe has a great personality. He was able to connect with a lot of the tenants. And my dad, the whole role, he's always wanted to like just stay behind the scenes and get the work done. So it kind of my Joe would kind of play cover and talk to all the tenants, and my dad and I would just get in and trying to clean up the units. And even my brother would come down. And my brother, he's the worker, he gets things done, so he would come down and help too. So it was a good time to be in the car with my dad, to have all dedicated time, because I'm one of 4 kids, so there was a lot of that. You don't really have a lot of hours together, so driving was good. It was nice watching my dad connect with his friend, and he's figuring it out as we go too. So a lot of like learning lessons on the first one.
And that's what it's all about.
Oh,
It's really,
yeah,
it is all of, I tell that to people all the time. I'm like, look, I had people reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook, like, how do you get started? I'm like, you just start.
yeah,
And
just,
they're like, really? I'm like, you just start. You
yeah,
start and you figure it out, and you make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. And then over time, it starts to compound,
yeah.
and there's just, you can have a mentor, you can do all these different things, but at the end of the day, you really just have to get your hands dirty and get into it.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice not knowing what the problems are. So you look
Yeah.
at it as
Yes. That's
the
totally
first
true.
one, you just look at like, man, what if like all of them are 100% rented with this amount of money? Like you think with all positive thoughts, and then you
Yeah.
get in and you learn and you get worn out as you go. But like you would never get into it if you knew all the problems right away.
100%. I had a lady on a few months back who bought a apartment complex. She lives in LA, and she bought an apartment complex in Stockton.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, these numbers are so attractive and all this stuff. And she had the wildest stories. And it
Yeah.
was like during COVID, and tenants stopped paying. Like, she had every issue you could think of. And she was just telling these stories, and they were just over
Oh,
the top, like just crazy. She's like, what can go wrong? Everything went wrong.
yeah.
And then once you're in it, you're in it. You like, then that's when it turns into, I think rental properties teach you a lot about problem solving.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Yeah. I mean, it teaches you a lot about problem solving. I mean, it gives you a big perspective on like, you have 26 different families. You're working with 26 different personalities, and their stress points are different than ours. And, just being able to manage different people, and people that were in their homes and stressed, which kind of had eventually led me to my career a handful of years later. But it was a nice thing to be young enough to sit back and watch a lot and not having to be the lead on it. To be
Yeah, you got to observe.
yeah, I got to
Yeah, how
observe.
old were you?
I mean, I think technically I was 18, but I was basically turning, oh no, I was 18 at that time. When I bought with my brother, my brother and I bought one the next year, and I was 9, or I was still 18, turning 19. So yeah, 18 when I first started.
Do you remember anything about like cash flow and tenants paying or not paying? Like, did you hear stories about that too? Because you were on your side with your dad, so you guys were more on the turning phases of things, or repairs for the most
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. And then you'd hear like, tenants paying or not paying, or you're trying to get, maybe they partially pay and then you're trying to collect. I mean, I think the rents were, I'm guessing, remember somewhere like $600 a unit. It wasn't like you're chasing down, $100 bills here and there. And
Right.
a lot of stress I know on their end, probably a lot more stress trying to, collect money and paying attention to all the details. But my dad had always said, like, if you're buying, like, you get like this 1% rule. I hope I get it right. It's like if your rent covers like, your monthly rent covers your 1% of the price per unit.
Yeah.
So if it was $100,000 per unit, then the rent was $1,000 a month. That's a good deal. It was just
Totally.
a simple little like quick math problem, like you say yes.
Yeah,
or no
that's
to
good. That's interesting that he brought that up back then too. Yeah, the 1% rule is kind of go-to metric for the most part.
And it
Everybody
works.
has different ones, but that is definitely one of them. So yeah, that's cool. And you remembered that.
He's really smart, and it's like, but he's calm. He's not like one to pressure you or anything. And he's like, he could think things out. It's crazy because you're like, how do you, like, he's almost never wrong. And hopefully he doesn't watch this. He'll be like, I told you so.
Told you to be listening to me.
Yeah, but it was like such a like I think it was an easy way to teach me like quickly versus getting into like all the details of like really the nitty gritty. It was just like we're in the car real quick. He could say it simple. It's something I could capture and like understand like fast, which made it easy.
Do you remember any other conversations you had with your dad in the car? That's a lot of time in there. Do you remember some that stuck in your head that you know carried forever?
Yeah, I think the part of like I think it's like more of like the observing side of like watching him and Joe Wickersham talk. And people in Willow Glen know the Wickershams are like, if they know Joe, it's like a big personality, but it's like he's really, really like he's unbelievable smart. So it's like he jokes around a lot, but it was just like a fun thing watching my dad lean on him and knowing that he picked the right person to team up with. And so it was watching my dad more than the conversation is watching my dad going like, okay, I trust him. I'll follow through on that. And then it's like, he's like, they've kind of designated roles where my dad had his spot in it. And then his friend had the management spot. That was like more than the conversation was just watching it all play out, which
Right.
was, yeah.
That's a really good point about the partnership part. You know, you need to really have a lot of trust in your partners.
Yeah.
And they typically all have, and you really want your partners to have different skill sets
Yeah.
than from yours, you know, like
Yeah.
it's really important in a partnership that
Yeah.
everybody has their unique skills, so to speak.
Yeah. And like one's not greater than the other. They're both like equal. Yeah. It was nice watching them lean into each other's strengths. You know?
Yeah. They mesh well. So on that one, how long did you guys keep it? And do you remember what you sold it for?
I think we kept it. I mean, I should write these numbers down. We kept it for a couple of years because clubs in Fresno, it has these little windows at times where it gets a little bit of a hot run and then it like almost goes backwards. Like it like resets. I think it sold for at $1 million or over $1 million. So somewhere around there. Because I put
in a couple years.
In a couple years, in a few
wow.
years. Because I was 18, I moved down to Southern California. So maybe it was 4-year range. Because I think I used the money when I moved down to Southern California school, and I was right around the 22. Yeah, so maybe 4-year range.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
It was a good
return.
Yeah, it was a great return.
And do you remember what got done on the property? Like all the CapEx items, or were just some cosmetic work? Do you like really remember what was really done to it?
That one was like more cosmetic work. This is more like the cosmetic work. It was just, and then like increasing rents. And I think we saw this little run in Fresno where the numbers you could cash flow. One of the things my dad would say is like, this one already cash flows out of the gates. That's what he would say, like right away. Like out of the gates, it's already cash flows. So it is a good deal. And I remember even another thing he said is like, even breaking even is a good deal. So if it cash flows, it's even better, you know?
Yeah, that's like the icing on the cake part.
Yeah.
Metric of it, you know?
Because usually even if it takes a few years to finally like break even, it's still good. And then continuing forward, like cash flows even better. So the neighbors would say, yeah, the numbers make sense. Yeah. A lot of one-liners that like kind of stick to you. Yeah.
That's good. And then when you sold that, what was the next play?
So the next play it kind of split up. My dad and his friend Joe Wickersham and then Don Hoke came into play. So it was like 3 different guys. They ended up buying a 40-unit apartment complex. And then at the time, my brother, he's always like a couple years ahead of me, or now even way more ahead of me. But he was 17, I was 19, and we bought our first 4-plex together, my brother and I. So when we sold my apartment complex with my dad and Joe Wickersham, I actually took the cash myself, and then I used that to go live in Southern California to go through college. So that was like my room and board that allowed me to have those years of life down there.
Going to school for?
At the time, I started with management. Then I thought about accounting, and I was like, nope, that's not for me. And then I finally got a degree in finance. So, and once I found the finance classes, I was like, this is fun because the investing side and the numbers side. Yeah.
Definitely, which definitely helped in your real estate journey moving forward.
Yeah. And even like personal like journey, like if I'm making money, where should I put it? Or, it definitely has played all those pieces in those years played a big factor in my life.
Yeah, that's a whole nother little topic we can talk about, because
Yeah.
that's a big when you become an agent, you get these commission checks, and if no one's ever taught you how to like put money aside for your taxes or savings or whatever, you just will run out and buy a Mercedes and call it a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it, like, I think that was also with my dad, like our discipline was like just making sure that you're able to like, yeah, not go off and buy a real nice car right away, even though that's like something I wanted. But kind of getting back to that question earlier was my dad and his two friends bought a 40-unit apartment complex and kind of did the same thing, like fixed it and flipped it over the years.
That, do you remember?
Fresno, yeah, Fresno. We kind of did like our first maybe five to 7 years was like Fresno, just because the numbers made sense. Yeah.
There's a guy on YouTube, I think it's Michael. His last name starts with a K, and I'm spacing on his last name, but I was following him a lot, like back in like 2018, 19. But I think he invests strictly out in Fresno. Well, I don't know if it's strictly just in Fresno, but I know
Yeah.
Fresno was his backyard, so to speak. But he had a great YouTube channel information.
Yeah.
But yeah, he liked Fresno.
Yeah.
And he would talk about when the market was getting hot, or he's concerned about it cooling off. I just remember all these different things from it.
Yeah. And it was like a nice cycle to watch that, because that was like my brother and I, when my dad went off with Joe Wickersham and Don Hogue had bought like four fourplexes in a row. And he ended up selling one of the four to my brother and I. And that, like, I had saved again money over the next year. My brother he's always been a great saver and continued to still be. And that was our first property we were able to buy together. And so in 2002, like I said, it was, a couple days before my 19th birthday, like I bought that with my brother. So my brother was 17. I technically was like 19. So
You were young, man. Did you realize, now that if you look back, you were pretty young? I mean, I'm sure it felt normal to you because you had these older men kind of paving the way, so to speak.
Yeah.
But you're young, like high school?
High school.
End of high school? I mean, that's
high
pretty
school.
damn good.
I graduated 2000, so like 2000, when you're out of high school, then 2 years. So like
that's impressive.
2 years out of high school, bought property. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I think my brother was in high school when he bought the fourplex, which is, I don't think he could even sign for it.
Dude, that's insane. Yeah. That's so crazy. Yeah. That's great. And that really speaks volumes about who you surround yourself with.
Yeah. To be honest, it's like my life is a testament to like I had good older men in front of me. I have an amazing mom. I have like amazing grandma. I had good, holders above me. Like my parents are good, my grandparents are good, and my dad's friends pouring into us. Because another thing my dad would always say is like, the best gift like one of his friends could do is pour into your kids. That was like another thing I remember hearing in the truck, because he was watching Joe and Don really like lean into my brother's name is Mario, my dad's name is Mario, our whole family's name is Mario.
Yeah.
and Joey's. But that was another thing I watched, my dad's appreciation for his friends, that are older than us, pouring into my brother and I. So we did get a, head start. But my dad always says, but you guys listened. You didn't, my dad never like forced anything on us. It was just more of like,
I'm going to plant the seed and see if that works.
Yeah. Because I kind of really where it starts, it's like the funniest little story was I had always drove the family van. That was my car in high school. I bought it from my parents for like, I think it was $700 or $900, just because like they were going to get rid of it. I'm like, I'll buy it.
What
which was
kind of van was it? Was it like those 80s van type?
Chrysler, Plymouth Chrysler minivan with a wood on the side. So it was
Yes.
pretty impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a great car to have at the time. But I had saved my money and I wanted to buy a Chevy Tahoe. I was like, I finally wanted like a cooler car, I thought. And my dad said, he's all, you could either, use this money to buy a car or you can invest in real estate. And I was like, and he's not telling me what to do, but I'm like, I hear what you're saying. Like,
Give me some options.
and so he didn't want me to, like, he allowed me to make the choice. And it was like, I was like, all right, I think I know what he's saying. So it was nice to not feel pressured into it. So it really was my choice with his guidance, which was super valuable. But yeah, we had good parents, good dad's friends, my grandparents, my grandpas are great, my grandma's great. Like I had a lot of like things to watch ahead of us.
Tell me where your whole family is based out of.
Willow Glen. I mean, we literally live in this like sounds funny, but it's like 2 mile zone pretty much. And
but that's pretty normal, right, Joey? I mean, if you think about it, we're all kind of that way. And it's perfectly fine.
I think I counted, like, I had to do like another article earlier this year, and it was like, I think we had like over 40 family members within a 2 mile radius. It was like my cousin lived around the corner, my great uncle lived across from him, my other cousin was in the court. So it was like, to us as a kid, it was normal. When I look back, I know it was special back then, but even, greater appreciation as you get older. But yeah. And my dad calls it like, you got to stay in the zone. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was, I mean, Willow Glen, now that I always look back, because I grew up on La Mirada.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that was my parents' first house. They bought that. My uncle was a broker. My uncle worked with Chris Trapani's uncle.
Oh, wow.
In Willow Glen on Lincoln. So they bought that house and we lived in there for like 5 years. And then they bought in Blossom Valley at the Arcadia Homes over by Gunderson. And he was like, you guys, you're going to go broke. You're going to lose this house. It's so much money. And it was like 30 grand for them, which for them back then, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, stayed there for a while, but then I ended up back in Willow Glen on Milton. So I stayed there for, like it's always been coming back to Willow Glen. And because quite frankly, it's just a great place to live in general.
Yeah. It's a nice, amazing community to grow up in as a kid. I'm like friends with a ton of my friends since elementary school. And I think they have a same appreciation for it too. Like they just love growing up here. As an adult, obviously things change and it's like, it's even a different perspective as an adult, but it's still, I still love it. I live pretty much less than a mile from my parents, I like my little house, little morning walks are nice. Yeah. So everything I like it. It works good for me.
Yeah. It'd have to take a lot for you to have to move away. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say this a lot because we have rental properties, throughout the United States, and our newest is in Seattle. And I go out to Seattle and I go, I really like it here. It's beautiful. It's got Puget Sound. It's got the mountains. It's just really great. And then I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can handle the weather.
Yeah.
Like I'll take all the things and check about, okay, how does this compare to, living in Willow Glen, and what do I get at Willow Glen? I can go on a run during the winter time. I can ride my bike up a mountain, like I got the beach by me. I have the mountains close by, it's hard.
It's hard. That's even my dad always says, he's like, oh yeah, everybody wants to move to a place when they go on vacation. Anytime you go on vacation, like, oh, I want to live here. He's like, well, you're on vacation. Of course you want to live there.
But of course.
Once reality sits in, it's like, we have a pretty good spot. Like, yeah, you wear a sweatshirt in the morning and you take it off in the afternoon. Like, it's pretty simple. Like,
yeah. As far as growing up here, do you have any memory? What are your childhood memories of Willow Glen and just activities and things like that?
It was like again, I got a pretty special childhood. Like, I am thankful for that too. It's like my parents did a good job with keeping family close by. I had my both grandparents like right around the corner, or like when I say around the corner, like a few neighborhoods over. It just was simple. Like, and it was a very simple time. My one of my favorite cousins, or like my best friend, is like Jared. He lived around the corner from me, and like he's one of three, and we just ride our, we were always back and forth between his house, and then my other cousins were in the court. Like my cousins Sarah, Rachel, and Johnny were right there too. So, and then I could just keep going on a list of all the different kids, but like childhood memories would be like I spent a lot of time going to Willow Glen, like high school, even as a kid. It's like you ride your
Yeah.
bike over there, or you're like a little fifth grader trying to climb up on the roofs just because that was exciting, or
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like it's just like it was an area where you could just kind of wander around. And it was close enough where my parents let us like kind of roam around, which is nice.
Where'd you go to school?
I kind of bounced around a lot, but like elementary school, books in elementary. And then I went to San Jose Christian for junior high, which was a lot smaller school. And that was like a school I really, really loved, but it was like just a smaller group of kids because I was used to a bigger school. And then I wanted to go back to Willow Glen High School because all my friends that I played sports with and everybody was going there. So I went to Willow Glen High School freshman year. Then I lost the bet with my mom, and then I went to Valley Christian High School. And
Wait.
yeah,
So wait, what? You
yeah.
lost a bet? I gotta hear about this bet.
Well, it was just my mom was like, school wasn't really like a big priority. I mean, the school work wasn't. I like the social side of it. I like the sports side of it, but yeah, wasn't paying attention, doing too much. Yeah, freshman year, and I was playing sports, but I had like my friends close by, so a lot of distractions. But she wanted me to go to Valley. I'm happy how it all worked out, and I'm like super thankful I went to Willow Glen too because I'm friends with my friends there. But yeah, I didn't perform at the level I needed to, so she's like, "You're out. You're moving to Valley," and I'm like, "All right."
So how did that play out once you did?
Um, it worked out good. It was like a neat. Luckily, I had my cousin Jared already, like my cousin I grew up as a little kid with. He was already at Valley Christian freshman year. So when I came sophomore year, I already had a group to kind of mold into. And I was a skateboarder kid. So then he was the punk rocker kid. So we had like the skateboarders and punk rockers all the like a
Yeah.
little group.
Yeah.
So it just kind of like it molded in great. And so it was like an easy, like you already kind of stepped right into like a little group. And at that time, that was like over 24 years. That was like 26 years ago. It's like it sounds funny to say, but like skateboarding and punk rock stuff was not
Yeah.
positive to most people. It was like looked down upon. So it was like,
That's true.
we just had our little group, and it was a nice group. And I'm still friends with a lot of I really am still friends with pretty much that whole group
You're
still.
friends with the kids you grew up with for the most part?
Yeah. Yeah. There was the elementary school kids at Bookson. I'm still like, there's so many of them. Like I'm still friends with, which is nice. And it's nice because I get to like, we could talk and it's the same life. It's easy to like a lot of familiar points from growing up, sports, families, holidays. So yeah, I'm still friends with them.
What year did you get into? What year did you get your license?
I got my license 2007, March 2007.
And what made you go that route?
It was a blend of, well, it's kind of old school trying to save my money, to be honest. I was like, well, hey, if I'm going to buy properties, I'm going to try to get a discount on them. So it's probably like the way I was raised. It's like, hey, if I could save money, let's go that route. But by the time I was 24 when I got my license. 24. But it was kind of like a blend between like, I like the searching for properties. Sorry. I like the searching for properties and I like the people side. And I was in my upper division finance classes. It took a while to get through college, but it was a blend of those three things where it's like, I like searching. I really love like looking for a good deal. Like that was like, I still like doing that.
Yeah.
On Facebook Marketplace, but that's a whole nother podcast. And I like the people side of it. I like getting to like figure out the problem solvings or how to get through things. And then the finance side was like, well, think this is, at the time, I wasn't really into the stock market. I still really not, but it's like the real estate just like, I got lucky to like actually love it. So it was easy to kind of pursue.
What do you remember when you got your license when you first started? So did you start at Coldwell Banker?
So I was in Huntington Beach in 2007. I was down there for 5 years. So basically 2002, a little on and off, you come back for summertime and go back. So from 2002 to 2007, I was in Huntington Beach, or
Okay.
from Long Beach down to, Huntington Beach. But I remember getting my license and just going like, and that was the year I was graduating. I'm like, I just want to get to work. Like, even though I enjoyed my upper division, like finance classes, and it was finally like where I enjoyed school. Once I found something I liked, I just wanted to work. So it was kind of easy to jump into.
What do you remember? So when you got your license, did you have a mentor? Did you have somebody you partnered up with? Like, how did that come about?
So I got my license, and then I got on with Coldwell Banker down in Huntington Beach. And then literally like 2 weeks later, I bought a house in Costa Mesa to flip. And that did not work.
Okay, good. Let's hear about this.
Because
that's the part. And to be fair, I mean, if you get into real estate and you're buying properties, you're going to have some bad ones. It's just the reality of the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like you're making a decision at 24 again with like every time I bought real estate, it works. So this is going to be the same thing. But it was a pretty neat, again, another little education time. It's like, I have another friend, he always said like, that was your tuition. Like you lost money, but that was your tuition. Yeah. But
that was your internship.
Yeah, it was big time. So it was March 2007. I got my license and I had bought a short sale. Well, I didn't really know what a short sale was. And I wasn't even representing myself because my license, I had just taken the test. I was waiting for it to get on. So I wasn't even part of a brokerage at the time. So I went with the listing agent and they double-ended the deal. And it was a short sale. So I was committed. I didn't know what that meant, but I had already put my deposit down and the property didn't even close until May. So, but in 2007, right in March, the subprime markets fell apart.
Right. Oh, here we go.
And I remember being in my upper division, like finance classes at that time. And all the teachers were like, this is a big deal. This is like, and a lot of these teachers were already retired. They were already in the finance world. They're coming back to teach and kind of like sharing their knowledge with the class. And I remember two of my teachers like, this is going to be bad. And I was like, oh my gosh, I just bought a house and I can't get out of it. I was like, oh no. So it allowed me to pay attention at school a lot more because I was like wanting to learn everything, just since I had my money on the table now, or my money in the market. And then I closed in May. My dad and brother would come down, like they would drive down from San Jose. So like they would do that, like basically load up the whole truck, come down and help me work on it like week after week. And this is like a 6-hour drive at least.
Right. Gosh.
Yeah. Like
some dedication there.
Yeah.
Your family had your back.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't be like that commitment they both did was unbelievable. At the time, they're helping me out. It's like my dad knew I was in a pickle. Like he could tell, like when he pulled up to the house, he's like, if I saw this, I would have told you not to buy it. And I'm like, well, now. But it was a good time having them down. They got to meet all my roommates. It was kind of a nice time because we all worked together. Like my roommates helped me out. My dad and brother helped me out. But at the end of the day, like, you know, I lost all my money I had saved on that project.
And so let's break down how you lost it. Did you lose it because you're carrying it too long, or was it because the market was starting to shift and what you thought you were going to sell it for, that changed?
Yeah. So kind of like the simple basics of it. It was a great little neighborhood in Costa Mesa. Costa Mesa is a cool like city, and I loved it. And I thought maybe at the time, maybe I'll move into it and live down here longer. But I always had in my heart knowing I wanted to be back in San Jose. And I was like, once I graduate, I'll probably most likely move back. But the simple side of it was I bought it. I thought I'd make $80,000 on the deal based off the comps, the 6 months comps behind us. But as I got into it, the market accelerated downward so quickly that like I remember like month after month going like, if I make 50, this would be good. And I remember like finally, I think it was August or September, we still weren't done with the project, but I remember standing in Home Depot looking at like toilets and fixtures and faucets. And I'm like, I'm literally spending money and I know I'm not going to get it back. Like
wow.
I have to lose money just to not lose more money.
Right.
You know?
I'm putting money in to lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm guaranteed I'm going to buy this thing. I already lost money on this fixture. But the market turned. I lost money on the sale and I lost money like the commissions that were paid out. Like after everything's said and done, it closed in November. So I even got lucky to get out of it before it really accelerated downward.
Because it got really bad.
Yeah. I mean, everybody talks about 2008, but 2007 is where the problem started.
Right.
And then 2008, you're seeing it go down. And really, it didn't even, I mean, the lowest it got was like, I would track the numbers. It was like 2010 to 2012 is where you got the real good deals because values dropped even lower than 2008 and 9.
Yeah. I mean, it just kind of, it snowballed and people are just like, oh, and then you had a bunch of people that were in houses. They're like, okay, the value's down 200 grand. Why am I going to live in here? And they'd let go of their house.
Yeah.
It was like a domino.
Yeah. And I even looked back, like, I think it was 2010 and 11. Like you look at like what like properties were selling in the neighborhood. I sold it for like 705 or 716 and it ended up like the market was like down to like 550 in the neighborhood, you know, and I was like, I'm thankful I got out and only lost this amount of money versus that amount of money. So it all played its role and it forced me back. I ran out all my money. So I had to move back in with mom and dad. And
okay. So you came back. And then where'd you end up once you got back into San Jose?
So I was already at Coldwell Banker in Huntington Beach, but this is kind of like the next like great piece of my life. My dad had another friend, Paul Bertoldo. And I mean, most people know him in the industry, but he's just the best. So
he's a cool guy.
Oh,
I've always liked him. Him from the very minute, you know, I met him. That doesn't say a lot. I don't like everybody. That's for sure.
But he's calm. He's a competitor. You don't even know that he wants to win, but he's quiet about it. He's like so encouraging all the time. So it was like, I remember going to one of his open houses, which was actually my friend Kevin Franzen's grandparents' house. Like he was hosting the open house. It was like a friend of mine since I was a little kid. Paul was selling their family home, and I talked to him in the kitchen with my dad about getting into real estate. And if you know Paul, it's like, oh yeah, come in, that'd be good. Very simple, but like I was like, all right.
That's exactly how he talks too, right? How you said that too. That was perfect.
Yeah. And then even at that office, it felt comfortable because like I already knew like Monica Farnes, where you had Patrick and Monica, you had Gina Marciano, you had Ruby Foot. There were so many people I already kind of knew from my parents' friends from Willow Glen. So it just felt like an easy place to step into. So, but having Paul there and then eventually like that office was a very, very special office, you know, when I look back on it, but a lot of great, like so many great agents out of there.
That was the one on Willow, right? Or
actually, was it ours is the one on Meridian. So
Meridian. Okay.
You had two, you had Willow Street and then you had Meridian. Yeah.
Right over by the post office.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Isn't that where Kip was at that one too, right?
Oh yeah. Kip was there, Marianne Brown, Joe Brown. There was just like, I could go on and on, but it was like a neat, like it was a great spot to start at. Like, so I was 25 when I started. So I basically went in there. I signed on, but I was 25. So I talked to the manager. I'm like, I'm going to do commercial and I'm going to do residential. I'm going to do it all. And he's like, he looks at me like, basically, get out of here, figure out what you want to do, and then come back. And so I went and got a job in commercial. I got hired on a Friday, and then they fired me on a Monday. I didn't even work, but it was up in Burlingame, and I told him I wouldn't move up there, the commercial guy. And he's like, no, like we need somebody like here in town. And I was like, that's a long drive. And then he called me up and said, no, we're going to pick somebody here in town. So that gave me my answer. So, and I got to Coldwell Banker. I was like, all right, I'll do residential full time.
There you go.
So I committed. Yeah, I committed in December, but I made my first day at work was January. So
can you tell us a little bit about your first deal?
So again, kind of going back. Oh, first deal was my mom's good friend, Diana and Dave Williams. And she needed to sell a house on Crestmont. And it was a listing. And I'm like, you guys are like, just like, again, if you meet my parents, you'll understand why I've had this like good support. They're good to their friends. And she's like, hey, your mom's always taking care of me. You're like family. Like, I want you to my home. And I was, at the time, I was like super grateful. And then I look back on it and I'm like, 2008, and you're using like a 25-year-old to like list your home and it's his first deal. That's a pretty big like deal.
They trusted you. They trusted your family.
Yeah.
You got the support from the office that you had.
Yeah. And I had Paul.
You had Paul.
Yeah, Paul to like lean on, and other agents would help me out.
How'd that deal go?
It actually worked out pretty good. Like pretty good meaning like
it was a tough time. That was 2008.
Yeah, it was 2008, and it was early on. So it was before April, I remember. I think it closed around April time. But it sold, and at the time I'm like, oh, this was nice. It took its, I think it was like, I'm assuming, I remember it was something like around like the 30 or 40 day marker on the market. Because at the time it was like 60 days on market was normal. So like it sold within a like reasonable range. When I look backwards on it, I was like, that was a like miracle that it all worked out.
Right.
So yeah, they had sold, I lifted their home. They sold that in Willow Glen, and then they ended up buying another house in Willow Glen. So it was like two big deals for me, right away. So
yeah, that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
Do you remember anything about real estate when you got into it that you really didn't like?
I was like 25, so I was pretty naive and pretty on the positive side of things.
How about as when time went on?
I would say, and again, it's almost like stepping out of the Coldwell Banker. Like I had a very encouraging office, like a lot of agents that would help us out. I think over time, it's that part of like, you're like, what? Like we're all on the same team as agents, it's like, I think the part I didn't like is like you could see like more division between agents, or like people feeling like, oh, I'm better than you. And it's like, I mean, all this stuff could shift.
Yeah.
Like we have no control of like how much income we're making. It's just, we're lucky to be in it. So I think the part that was harder is when you realize like not everybody's rooting for each other, even though like we all need each other to cooperate with to make, I mean, the easier us agents work with each other, the easier these deals go, and I think that was hard to watch, like more division between the agents and stuff like that, Do
you feel it's changed a little bit more now? Because there's a lot of brokers out there that are more, well, they they like to collaborate more. Do you feel like it's changed a little? I mean, I feel like the cycle from when because I got my license at 2008, and I know exactly what you were just saying. So I know exactly and it's funny now, I have no problem at all reaching out to agents that I know, some that I don't even talk to all the time. I mean, look, before you and I spoke, I met you a couple times.
Yeah.
I had no problem just going, hey, I trust Joey. I'm going to reach out to him. Paul brought you up. You came over. You know what I mean? I just feel like collaborating and getting other people's opinions is such a powerful thing. There's no weakness in it at all.
No, not at all. I think after COVID, I think it really like COVID kind of showed that we needed to stick together more
Yeah.
because it was something that we all like collectively were affecting our like individual lives. And
Yes.
almost like I always say this with Marianne Brown, she's like one of my like super good friends. And me and her were the only 25-year-olds when we were like in 2008. So it was like she understood my stresses. She understood the scary things or the wins. Like
Right.
she understood that. I think 2020, like COVID years, I think all of us agents, I think everybody in life, but like you're in this industry, everybody kind of understands each other. Like, oh, we do need each other to like get through this. Or I think a lot more collaboration started happening because it's like, well, what's going on over here? Like we needed each other and our feedback a lot more. So I think that time brought us more like back together and getting back on like calling each other and like what you're
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
I think that it took away a lot of the maybe humbled a lot of people and it took away I hope some egos are out there like that's normal but I think it really brought like we need to lean on each other to find out like kind of create an insecurity in everybody well what's happening what to
Yeah.
do what do we need to do like what's happening on your end so
Some of it was not even related to real estate, but it kind of transpired into real estate. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember a couple agents, that that weren't married or didn't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that were kind of, hermits in their house and going through that. Or they're the ones that did a lot of open houses and their whole business was built on open houses. Now
yep
that's gone.
yep that was mine yeah
You know what I mean? Like, oh, and how did they, or changing from figuring out technology during open houses, like all these different things started moving quicker and a lot of people had to
yeah
adapt. Yeah, it's weird. It's interesting about that COVID period of time. Even though we're kind of all segregated, we're way more connected. I was having phone calls with people I haven't talked to like at all. I mean, it was the most, and we would talk longer too, which
yeah
was interesting.
which was nice because I think COVID, at least for me, gave me the space to have like prior to COVID, it was just go, 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 go. And like COVID slowed us down to have like, I mean, at least for me, like deeper conversations. And I'm single, live at my house alone. So it was like anytime I could talk to anybody and
Yeah.
you're like, oh, you're going to talk forever. I'm like, yeah, I am because I don't get to talk to anybody all day. Uh, but it made, and then even like the Willow Glen tour, it was, I mean, I've always loved that tour. Like Mike Gaines and Monica are so great at running it. And it's like, that is such a special group. But we did like the Zoom call, and I have this picture of the screen of all of us on here. I'm like, that thing grew and grew and grew because we all like that was the only time we could like connect with each other. So
Right.
there's a lot of like good that came out of that. I mean, obviously, you don't want people to get sick or go through tough times, but it kind of like I think it made people reevaluate like what's important, and
Mm-hmm.
it was refreshing after we got through the like ultimate struggles.
Yeah.
I think real estate feels good right now, for me at least.
What have you noticed as far as shifts and like how you do business now, and what are you going through right now? You're very successful. You're really dialed in Willow Glen. People know you got a good reputation. So what do you where do you see yourself like 5 years from now? And like, what are you trying to work on in your business to improve and just grow?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, to be honest, right now I'm in like a stuck position because I get stuck or maybe call it paused. I actually feel more stuck than paused because I don't know what I want to do. I feel like I'm at a spot where like I have to do something new and what's next. Kind of give you a little behind the scenes. The last handful of years, I got blessed to have quite a bit of business, but I had one year I did 50 deals, and that was like it drained I mean, it was great income, but it was like probably my least happy year of my life or career.
So interesting.
And then so prior to that, I did like 37 deals, then 50. And then I said, I don't want to do any more than 20 for the next year. And then I ended up doing 25 deals. But out of 25 deals, I felt like I gave the best quality. I had my personal time with my family and friends. I was less isolated. So I liked the 25 deal range,
Mm-hmm.
which I have an amazing assistant. Jenny Lima is like unbelievable. I have a software I built during COVID, or like a software I built that is an amazing CRM. So like it allowed me to like fine tune my time. So where I'm having a hard time right now is like, do I want to get so big again? Because there's always that excitement. Like, I love Willow Glen. What if I could be the Patrick and Monica or the RC Cost or the Valerie Mean of this town or the Jordan Mott? Like, you get these big names. And then I'm having a hard time. Like, do I want to be that busy? I kind of want to do healthy business for me too, where it's
You want
able
to
to
balance it. You want to
no,
balance.
yeah, I want to be able to have longer conversations with my clients, get better quality, like better quality for my own life. I threw my back out, so I haven't really worked out. It's like I'm having a hard time to get motivated there. I think this winter time, this is when I usually do my brainstorming and planning for the next year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just in this little pickle. I started a team, which I'm happy with. Like, I have 2 more agents. So there's three of 4 of us total. So Jenny and then 2 other agents. And I feel like that could take a good spot if everybody has coverage for each other.
Mm-hmm. How's that
But
been? What made you go the direction to start a team?
I got, again, another blessing this year. I had a seller, these 2 brothers that were investors selling 22 houses, and we had to sell them all in a 3-week period. So we had 22 listings plus my other, I think I had 27 listings on the market at one time in June or July. And it was overwhelming, but I had like we had a good, they were part of, like, one was my TC, one was like a field agent. And then I have Jenny as like a director of operations. So I was like, I needed all 4 of us to get the job done. And they were all workers and committed and said yes. So it made me feel like, okay, if I do more business, I trust these people and I have good support with me. And I think they appreciated the learning and seeing a lot of behind the scenes. So that, like, watching them grow is like exciting for me too. I don't know what to do. I'm learning, like, how do I lead a team? It's a new role I've never been in.
So these brothers had how many? So was this family passed down from family, and they had all these different properties? Were these the ones that were all in like Willow Glen, kind of off Brace?
One was on Brace, yeah. But they were all over. They were like Santa Clara County. So
Okay.
it went from Gilroy to El Viso. We had one out in El Viso. So yeah, kind of all over the place, which made it fun. But we had to like launch them all at the same time to match the 1031. Like, have all of them. We had, like, I think 10 or 11 closings all in one day. It was a lot of pieces. Like, we launched all in a 1 month or a 3-week period because they wanted to launch all of them on one day. And I'm like, I won't be able to manage all these calls. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny that you bring that up. I remember looking, because I saw that there was one over on Brace that had the land, right?
That was a personal deal that was another, like, just another client of mine. That was like not a part of that portfolio, but it was on the same street as one of their other ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember looking at it on a Sunday, and then I called your phone and it said, if it's Sunday, I'll be calling you back on Monday. I'm like, all right, well, it's Sunday. Hey, who's gonna? Do you remember who that buyer is gonna do with that piece of land? They're gonna develop it out. It was kind of like a pie, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one of the coolest properties. Like, I mean, it was like a little, like, you go there as like a little kid, you feel like a sandlot. You're like, man, this is an amazing, like, piece of property I never knew about, and it, like, was tucked away, and you could still walk downtown. From what I understand, the buyers are buying and building their house for their own life, which is nice. It sets back, and they have a good space behind them too. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there was that to the right of it had that whole lot, had all that space right there too. But that wasn't part of the lot that you sold, right? That was different.
No, from what I understood, it was like at the end of Brace. That was like before there's a church right behind it on the other side of the wall. And like, my sellers grew up there as little kids, and they said they used to play baseball and hit out into this field. So it was like, and like, they'd actually hit golf balls too. So it was like
That's crazy.
like piece of Willow Glen history. And I love all that old school, like,
Oh yeah.
history of the town.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. All right, I'll give you a little quiz here.
Yeah.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite breakfast place in Willow Glen?
I like San Jose Cafe. For
All right,
me,
there you
it's
go. San
little,
Jose Cafe.
yeah, my mom showed me this and I'm like, I know all these spots. And then she showed me that. I'm like, oh man, this place is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Lou's in Los Gatos.
Mm-hmm.
We've been there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
about you?
San Jose Cafe. I definitely Bill's, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know. I bounce around between Bill's and John's,
yeah,
so it just really depends.
yeah,
I feel like you just had so many different ones. You had San Jose Cafe, Bill's, John's. I just would rotate
yeah,
between there.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as a little kid, like those were like my parents, like they would always talk about Bills, or my mom, my mainly mom would talk about John's because she knew the family. And it was
Yes.
just like, and then I think my aunt did work at Bill's. So it was like, those are obviously staples of Willow Glen, but
Totally. Yeah,
yeah.
just supporting the local businesses there. So what are you envisioning for moving forward? So now you're going into the winter. Like, what do you think you're gonna gravitate towards?
Yeah, wintertime, it's kind of, I love this part about real estate for me. It's like you're kind of working from third week of January to like pretty much November 1st, and then it slows down for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
I get this little quiet time, so I think I'll take this. Like this is kind of what I look at. What do I want for the next, year in life?
Yeah.
And luckily, I've been since I started. I've written down my goals every year, so I have every year my goals since I started, and it's in a little folder I have. I think this year has been the hardest one to find out what's next. I think I really do want to like foster this team and pour into them. That's kind of what I'm feeling right now.
Okay,
But
that's good.
that's like kind of where my heart is. We'll see what happens like in a month or two from now, what the direction is.
Yeah, could have a different direction. Who knows?
Yeah, I think I just haven't had like, to be honest, like much quiet time. Things have been going, and I think I need to like say push pause again. Luckily, our market kind of quiets down this time anyway, so it's like a time to rethink, evaluate. I'm also 42, so it's like, what do I want in my 40s, health wise, life wise, relationship wise, with like my family too, like my parents. And I'm not married, I don't have any kids, but just outside family and friends. Like I love my friends. So it's like, how do I get, everybody's busy. So it's like, how do we get more time there?
Yeah, that's great. So the audience find you.
Find me.
Find you in Willow Glen.
Yeah. So you find me in Willow Glen. I mean, again, kind of my life. I work at Compass, right at, close to downtown Willow Glen, which is nice, or pretty much downtown Willow Glen. So everything's like, you find me on LinkedIn. It's like, I live in like I said, still operate almost in a 2-mile radius. So all right here in town. So,
absolutely. Well, I'll put your info in the show notes for everybody too. So if anybody needs a great local Willow Glen agent, they can give you a call. Yeah, I'm glad that we were able to sit down. I just remember when we were talking out in front of Glen Una, and it was just funny because that was our like little intro podcast. Yeah. And so it's good that we, got this one done, and hopefully we got, audio and everything was good. So
yeah,
I think we won on it.
Yeah,
I think we did it.
I'm going to talk about your life. I got to interview you.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that on the next one. We'll do that on the next one for sure. All right, buddy. Well, thanks a lot, man, for joining, and thanks for all your insights, by the way, on Glen. And I really appreciated that. That really helped me out, and I took everything to heart for what you suggested, and it played out correctly. So I appreciate it.
And you did a good job on that one. I love that house. Yeah.
A little timing, a little luck, a little everything happened.
I think you did a good job I think the person that bought it appreciates what you did. I've been walking by it this morning. I'm like, you still have the lawn mowed. Like you didn't quit after you got in the contract, which is nice. So it still looks good.
Yeah. So thank you. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and I'll be chatting with you soon.
Okay.
All right, buddy. See ya. Thank you for tuning into our show, where we hope you found inspiration and gained valuable insights. If you enjoyed this conversation and want to stay updated on our latest episodes, Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and share it with others who might benefit from it. We appreciate your support and look forward to bringing you more candid conversations and breakthrough moments in the future. Until next time, take care and keep exploring new ideas and strategies.